For the past few weeks, I've been really reflecting on what my YouTube channel is all about. I mean, if you pick a topic, we all know what I like to talk about. I talk about what I know, which is event photography. I've done it for over 13 years. I'm a photography instructor on top of that. I enjoy it. I love helping people. But is that what my channel is really about, is what I'm questioning. And I realized, no, it's not. My channel is really about what I know. It's that of my lifestyle. My channel is about being a working professional photographer, and also at times I'll talk about how I teach and all that, but really it's the lifestyle of that. And when I realized that, I realized I can really broaden what I talk about. I'm guessing a lot of people are watching because they want insight into a career they're professionally pursuing, or they're thinking about it. And I think they would want to know what the lifestyle is about, not just what the job is and how do you do the job. This is a big commitment to pursue. And while you would think at any point, if you're realizing you don't like an aspect of it, you would just pull back and stop, don't think that. Time has a way of passing, and you're going to eventually get stuck in the grind that you're not going to realize how much time has passed, and you're not going to stop and question if you even really want it anymore. So I really think getting a big picture before you start is important. And so what I want to do with the channel is start opening up a bit more and talking more about various topics that I know of, confront as a working professional photographer. And today I want to talk about probably what turned out to be one of the worst and best years of my life. I'm going to kind of do a recap video on how I dealt with COVID. And I started on this path and decided to make this video after reading a comment on my Patreon page. A new supporter commented on a post I probably did back in January as I was beginning to sort of recover from COVID. In that post, I talked about how I was spiritually, mentally, physically, and financially beaten down. I was literally at the worst point in all regards of my entire life. I had COVID, so I had financial uncertainty. I caught it while volunteering at a vaccination, or at the time it was a COVID test site. I caught it doesn't matter. I caught it and it laid me out, and there was no guarantee they were going to help me out financially. On top of that, COVID had a way of just beating me down mentally, and I don't know if it was because I was just super vulnerable or if it messed with the chemistry in my brain, but I started to have the darkest, worst thoughts ever. But in doing that, I really faced some demons. I actually never thought I'd get emotional doing a YouTube video. I faced my demons, and I came back stronger than I've ever been. And had I not been knocked down so low, I don't think I would have risen so high. It sounds so cheesy, but it's so true. From that time on, I got back to work. I was in the best shape of my life, but got knocked on my butt, lost 20 pounds, which was a lot of weight for my size. Went back to work. Started volunteering at a new vaccination site. So if you guys don't know this, I am a professional photographer, but a very small amount of my income comes from teaching for the Department of Cultural Affairs for Los Angeles. And at most I've ever had was about 11 hours of work doing that job a week, at most. And I would have long breaks in between sessions. So it was never a job. But because I was in that position, an opportunity came up for me to volunteer as a disaster service worker. And what that meant is whatever the city needed, they would send me. So I helped house the homeless for a night. Then mostly I worked at a COVID test site, eventually vaccination sites. I was a poll worker during the election. And it's honestly been one of the greatest honors of my life in a lot of ways. To feel so helpless and seeing the world in for the world to be just a shit show. And as little as it was, it felt good. It gave me purpose. And so as soon as I was well enough and recovered, I started back at it. I was transferred over to Dodger Stadium, and I was at the lowest point of my life, but I refused to stay there, and I started working out again. I started going back to jiu-jitsu. I started rebuilding, and I kept journaling and just thinking through what I want with my photography career. What do I want spiritually, mentally, physically, etc. Before I knew it, the job started coming back in. I caught a new wind for YouTube. Like, I don't know if it shows, but the content in the last few months I've been making has been probably the content I'm most proud of overall ever. And I know a lot of it doesn't get a lot of views, but I can't make content for views. Believe me. Believe me. I partially wish I could. I partially wish I could not be so stern when it comes to my values and my beliefs, but it's just not who I am. And so I'm really just focusing on, yes, I want to make videos that get viewed because that means you guys are finding it helpful, but at the same time, all I can really do, because you can look at the analytics and everything, but in the end of the day, you can't really count on it. You can't ever fully predict what's going to do well. And so rather, I've just focused on, what do I want to make? What do I care about? What am I passionate about? And whether they get the views or not, who cares? That said, I absolutely am passionate about creating content that people find helpful. And so I am listening. I am getting feedback. I finally figured out the algorithm a little bit, at least how to do well in my own little tiny space on YouTube, which is seems to be just me. They're really, and if you guys ever find any, please tell me. I don't see a lot of photographers talking about event photography. Not as their primary thing. It's usually a one-off video, and they're not getting into the lifestyle. They're mostly doing like the gear review stuff, and then they'll talk about events here and there. So that's what I want to do going forward. I'm going to continue making this type of content. I really hope you guys are enjoying it. I don't do it for myself. I'm doing what I care about, but ultimately I do it for the people that watch. I've said it before, but this was one of the hardest things I've ever pursued. Like, to go it alone, I had no mentors, no one really explicitly in my corner, no one like really ever encouraging me to do this. And I said, I'm going to pursue it. If I don't pursue photography, I don't know what I'd do. There was no plan B. I have to create. I can't work in a corporate environment in an office for 9 hours a day. It's not who I am. So yeah, this was a very off-the-cuff video, so I don't think I completed that thought. But what I wanted to say is I never really had mentors, and it was a very daunting challenge to pursue this. And that's really why I created this channel. I wanted to be able to help other people that probably are facing something very similar. But when I started, there was no YouTubers like really teaching photography and giving insight into what the job was like. And so I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to do that for other people. All right. If you guys want to support the channel, you guys know what to do. Like, subscribe, of course. If you want to really support me on Patreon, that's the best way to directly support me. And then I have a few things coming that I don't know how to really... It's kind of a tough one. I want to do something a little bit different with my channel, and I want to see what you guys think about it, but I'm kind of like going back and forth. But I'll talk about that in a future video. All right, thanks for watching.